Here we go. Check, check.
Check.
Check, check. All right. So, here we go. Another episode, slightly interesting. I have my good friend Chuck in the house, and we're here to talk about food and stuff. So Chuck, you have done, we work together. We used to work together at a restaurant, a sushi place, once upon a time. And we got to know each other, and I really like your work ethic and your personality, and I think you're a really cool guy. And I thought that people would like to hear some of the stuff that you've got going on, and some of the things that you're into, and I don't know. That's definitely useful information, all the stuff that we talk about. So I figured if we could catch some of these conversations, it might help enlighten some people as to what's going on.
Yeah, it was a trip working with you, man. I mean, just how knowledgeable you were with everything. I always seen you with the gadgets, and I always thought that was cool. And I always said, you were ahead of the game, and you were going to be doing this 10 years ago while I'm sitting here with a beeper, and you're sitting here with everything else that I couldn't think of that you were doing. But it's good to chat with you and see that you're still hustling. Just always had that, that entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
To me, that was interesting, and to be able to bond with you in the restaurant. Even you were the coolest manager in the world. If there was an issue, you were like, I already talked to him. It's like,
that's cool.
That's really cool, man. I always connected with you, man, and see that you're doing this. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, because I remember I found a picture in my memory that was like about creating a podcast, and it was like, I forget how many years, 5, 8 years, some long time ago. And it was when I first was like, I think I want to start a podcast, And
I remember that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Yeah, so it's cool to see that come full circle, the just ideas, random thoughts that pass our minds, and some of it comes to fruition and some doesn't. But
yeah.
It's always nice when they do.
Definitely, man.
So I've been having fun with this, bringing people in, and this is my fourth time recording. I've been doing shows for other people, trying to figure all that stuff out, and now I'm trying to sprinkle in some of mine. So
right on, man.
I figure these kind of conversations, as we get better at it and figure out how to keep the flow going, and cover these topics, I think there'll be a lot of useful information, especially local stuff, people in the industry. So now you're doing sushi for, what is the name of the company?
You know what? I was, and now that they've kind of relocated, they're back in Canada. I guess, to fast forward through all of this, to back it up.
Yeah. During
the pandemic, I just remember being a chef, how disconnected we felt from not being able to do what we want to do. How many of the people we found working, teachers, doctors, you could do everything. So everybody was still working, most of the people, but I guess what rooted in was all of us restaurant people. Everybody was calling each other, what are you going to do? Where are you going to work? I don't know. Everybody knew, though. You could still work out, right, Robert? You could still do your yoga classes, right, online. You could still do work out online. You could still do it. You could, but what were the chefs going to do?
Yeah.
So what were some of the bartenders? What were we all going to do? So I never stopped, kind of like you. I always seen you always keep working. You always keep hustling, and it's like to fine tune yourself, to sharpen your sword to whatever you think you're going to do, your craft is, I'm not going to stop. And I would tell my chefs, like, well, I'm going to start just doing stuff from home. I'm just going to start building. And luckily for me, I was a sushi chef, so you really got to encounter people, and it sucks because it doesn't mean if you're that much better than somebody, but I've got to engage with people where you organically have a trust what I do. Once I serve you for 10 years, you follow me to another restaurant, and then fast forward, we become friends. I know your family. And so I said, I'm just going to start serving food from home. Everybody else seemed like they were doing that. And all of a sudden, I kept getting busier and busier. It led to, do you come in my home and cook? And it's like, heck yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Do I go home and I hit up 20 people and say, I'm doing deliveries this weekend. I'm doing pickups this weekend. All of a sudden, during that pandemic, I was like, this is a full-time job. Shoot, I'm making more than if I'm working, and I'm taking it easy. But my mind thought more of that, like, what else could I do from this? And then I started seeing other people started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where people are building their house into restaurants now.
Yeah.
Like their backyards now are legal by Riverside County to be able to come in and have a restaurant set up, waitress, live music, and do it that way.
Yeah, it's crazy how COVID changed everything.
Yeah. Are they doing that out here? Do
Yes.
people-
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
everywhere. There's a lot of places that are popping up, people doing home kitchens, and even restaurants have satellite like food trucks and stuff now.
Yeah,
You see them all
that's
over.
cool.
It's like
That's
and
really cool.
it's a no-brainer. I mean, you have no rent. You just show up.
Yeah.
You know, like you could just park. And here they're really lenient, it seems, because they're like next to CVS, like on main
Yeah.
streets. Just pop up next to your business, and it's good. The food's pretty good, and I think it's good. It's taken off.
Yeah.
A lot of people are taking advantage of that.
Are we used to it? That's the thing. Are consumers used of doing that for our business if we want to do something like that? That's something I've learned too by
Yeah.
doing this. So, fast forward about a year doing that, I took on like a couple consulting jobs to write menus for a sushi bar setup. And then after that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to probably keep doing this. And I got a call from a marketer in the Riverside area, and he was helping this group to do a pretty much brand new launch of a company. And I was like, well, what are they trying to get into? I had a chat with them, and the group was called Tradish. And they were trying to do, and they did a very good job of it, to basically how do you empower a home chef movement and provide them with success, tools, technology to build their brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of doing that. Like, so what are you doing? So getting a home chef to make some rad food, have it delivered to your home or you pick up, times 10. How do we get the home chef to get the best product? How do we have the home chef to be provided with a kitchen to work in? How do we have them with the delivery service? Can we get them rooted into a business, a local coffee shop, and sell their stuff from there, business to business? And I was like, you know what, I think you guys are up to something. And yeah, I kind of joined forces with them and collaborated with, my menu. And I kind of went behind the scenes, like I was chatting with you a second ago, where it's like, you know what, I've always been that restaurant guy, so let me just use this not only to gain knowledge and learn like I've always been excited to do, but let me see if I was to take this on full on and say, I work no more, and I'm going to do this to see how much not only I can push, but how much can the other chefs, can you make a living off doing this?
Yeah.
24/7, can you do this? Is this enough to make you not only just happy with what you're doing, but is it sufficient enough for you, man? And it was cool, man, because you got to see all the goods, the bads, the learning experiences and curves, and I'm like, holy shit, But they're up to something. But can you imagine though, Robert, like fast forward 5 years from now, the way we eat would be like the way we book an Uber, the way we book an Airbnb. And I think we're trying to connect people to pre-order when you want to eat.
Yeah.
Pre-order when you want to come in and have an in-home dining experience.
Yeah.
Because how many have you seen, Robert, to where it's like, how many have these worked out, like Cook Unity? I think you see Food Gnome. You see 10 chefs' face, maybe a paragraph of their personality and what they cook. And that's it.
Yeah.
Does that make me and you as a consumer saying, I'm going to start buying barbecue from this guy? It's like you need a little bit more, right?
Yeah, you need a more personal connection, I think. Yeah.
What do you think?
That's where social media comes in and stuff. There's definitely ways that people feel like with YouTube channels or video, like you feel like that person after watching them for so long. You do. I'm like, oh, this guy, and I saw him yesterday,
Right.
And it just gives you that extra level of connection. So I think that's where stuff like this comes in really important for businesses, especially going that route. But I was thinking about it right now. It's like you see it everywhere. Even going to Disneyland now, like everything's pre-order. You order it, you got to go pick it up. Like I was kind of shocked because I don't go to Disneyland often, so I went this last time and they were like, "Yeah, we don't take orders here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like I stood in line.
Right.
And they're like, "No, you have to place it and then come back." So I had to go place it and come back. But so I think that the culture is going to change that way eventually, no matter what. So planning meals and stuff like that. Everybody's doing meal planning for
Yeah.
fitness and stuff, so it's definitely there. And I think there's people that would take advantage of it. My friend John, who does Le Vince restaurant here in Palm Springs,
Mm-hmm.
he's blowing up. And he started with catering, kind
it?
of like a home chef
Yeah.
thing, and he's just nonstop, going on. He got his little storefront, and he sells out. He takes care of homeless. It's really good in the community. People support him, and so that kind of thing. To see him grow that following, so
Right.
quickly, and he's doing celebrities and like all that
Wow.
kind of stuff, working a lot in Joshua Tree, the celebrity homes up there and stuff. So you could definitely carve out enough. You were questioning about whether people could survive or make enough.
Yeah.
And there's definitely potential to do so if
Definitely.
you do what you do well.
Right.
I was talking to Joe the other day on this show, and we were talking about. I keep saying you don't have to reinvent the wheel, meaning like, the basics, the fundamentals, not really the creativity part or the
Mhm.
thing that makes you unique or an individual.
Right.
If you get the basics down for even cooking or anything, whether it's changing tires or whatever, if you have your fundamentals down in your business, then you can thrive. But it just depends. If you don't have those, you can be the most creative guy. That's that saying,
Right.
hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Definitely.
Right. So like, you could, it's just finding that balance, I think, between innovation and then also having the fundamentals. And as everything changes moving forward with that business, I think, definitely people will take advantage of it.
I like what you just said about the pre-ordering. Now you go to a venue or something, you have to pre-order. But I think what we saw from doing this, and it was interesting because I wouldn't think of it. I'm like, you know what, order this much and let's sell it. And when I was doing that at my home, I was selling out, which was good.
Yeah.
But let's say if you don't sell out, so that's something that you thought about for the chef, is you want to give them a business that gives them the most chance to succeed. And we know this for working in restaurants together is I can't have food waste.
Yeah.
If I order, me and you today, we ordered $1,000 worth of food and our sales were $37. We have a lot of waste, and then you can only sell that food for another day or two.
Yeah.
So I think this platform gave the pre-ordering for a chance for the chefs to really have success on what they're spending, what they're going into for this entire week. But you know what I noticed for doing this pre-order is the consumer, us, we don't like to be given more tasks, right?
Mm-mm.
We just want to eat.
Simple. Keep
Robert,
it simple.
what time are you eating tomorrow? Are you going to eat at 4:30? And it's like, wait a minute, that's too much.
Too much pressure.
Or too much pressure. And then put your order in. Go online and place an order, because as soon as we hear, don't forget to place your order, now I have to work. Now I just want to go eat. We barely know what time we're showing up sometimes. I mean, we know what time we have to go to work, but it's like, it seems like the only thing we do consistently is either I go to the gym before and then I go to work. But when we eat, it's so on the spot. I don't know when.
You never know when hunger's going to hit.
So I think the platform, when we were setting up for the home chefs, we were like, we have to focus a lot on pre-order. And at first I was like, it doesn't make sense for us to eat that way. But wait a minute, it makes sense for the chefs to be able to survive that way. How much inventory I need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they kind of ran into that problem. Now that I see these other platforms like Food Gnome, Chef, I do have to pre-order. I have to order, a Chinese food tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and everything could change from there. And it's funny how you said, social media and all that. That was another thing this group was helping the chefs with. Like you said, I can make the most awesome food. I just don't know. I don't have a personality. I don't have a story. I don't have good photos. Could you help me with that?
Yeah.
So I saw that too, and I think social media really helped during the pandemic. It was a trip because it either made you, if you were good with social media, it made you better. If you were strong, it made you stronger because you didn't have a lot of leadway. You weren't working. So it's like, you know what? The more I do this, I'll build a character for myself for people to know.
Mm-hmm.
But then we ran into that part that social media was amazing. And I had to do a lot of tastings for some of these chefs that wanted to join the platform.
Yeah.
Cool picture, cool story. Nobu inspired all of this. And then when you taste the food, you're like, it's got to be good too, though, right?
Yeah.
We're not asking you to be like top chefs to do all of this stuff, but you got to have the good personality and good story. Then it found out sometimes we were missing was the good food.
Yeah.
It's like, which
yeah.
one, right?
It looks great. It
Right.
sounds great.
Right.
But is it great?
Right. Give or take, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't have a good story, but I got really good food. It's like, you got to have both. And for me, they liked that I had a good story. And again, like for me being a sushi chef, I think the advantage was I got to, meet people in a very natural way. Chefs that cook in the kitchen they're awesome. They're the best. But it sucks sometimes because I don't know the personality. I don't know the story. I don't know. And for, I guess, a consumer to start saying, I'm going to buy your food from your home. Who are you again? And it's like,
Yeah.
I thought that's not that important. But trust, once you trust me, then you start, it's crazy. You start ordering from me.
Yeah.
And it's like the only people that we know trust if they were doing it are celebrity chefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wolfgang Puck's doing order to your house. Oh, okay, I'll order. Do you know him? No, but I've seen enough commercials and Bill.
Yeah.
I trust him. So I started seeing that on the platform is these chefs have awesome personalities, awesome, but people don't know them. So create a story for them. Give us a background. When you started cooking and all that, do the social media for them for you to kind of get to know them. Launch, let's go. Let's see how many they can sell. And then we're still stuck in is this going to be successful for them?
Yeah.
So this group was like, not only do we want to focus on selling from your home to a consumer's home, but let's sell from your home to a business, your home to a subscription, your home to you coming in and doing caterings for people, or coming in and doing a cooking class or an in-home dining experience. And I think that's what separated this group from a lot of the other food platforms, because most of the time you go on these food platforms, you can only order one way from a chef, right? Delivery to your home or pick up from your home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool because they were reinventing, like, how else can we stretch out to be successful for the chefs? How else can we do more and make more for these chefs? And it was pretty cool. And you learned a lot. And at the end of the day, it was crazy because you weren't thinking about this because we're restaurant guys and we always support that business. So when we were doing this home chef movement, I always thought in the back of my head, are restaurants pissed at us or are we friends with them? And then I remember the owner was kind of given, an example of saying, like, we talked about getting into Riverside, talk with the mayor. You might have heard some of the restaurants like, whoa, who are these chefs? Is it going to take away from my little local mom and pop sandwich shop? And it's like, wait a minute. We can be an enhancement to the community coming in here and saying, not only do we fit into what the community does, downtown area, dining, but we'll get these chefs that are from this area as well, that maybe buy from the local farmer markets as well,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to use and sell. But you could tell, I think you could just have a feeling that some of the businesses were like, that's competition for me. I don't want you to take away from my pizza spot because I saw in your chef roster, you have a chef that makes homemade pizzas. I don't want that competition.
Yeah.
So, and I think I mentioned, to you, like,
Ooh, coffee delivery. Thank you.
if we were to get a food court or something like that, and me and you were to plan it right in the middle of downtown, and we were to have 6 to 8 chefs that have awesome stories, different unique foods and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're from this area, and I know this is your stomping grounds. Would that be competition for these people that own businesses, restaurants, or would they say that's an enhancement?
Yeah.
Well, what would you think?
I don't know. It depends, I think, on the owner. But, it's good to bring people to the area if you can offer extra services and stuff. Thank you. But, some people may see it that way as it's taking money or revenue, especially with the brick and mortar.
Right.
That was one of the things that, comes up with all the street vendors is like there's people that have businesses that have rent and, some can question whether they have permits or, they're going through all those processes and stuff. So, you never know. You never know. It's a flip of a coin. But, I mean, me personally, I would think that, I would be for it because you want to promote and get people going.
When you see a farmer's market, right, on in the middle of the week, and let's say it's set up in a downtown area, you'll see somebody cooking, right, with food. Is that competition or does that enhance?
Yeah, well,
we're trying to do this more.
Bringing that up, it's like the street fair.
Do you do this anymore? The street fair, when I worked with you, I remember, was it Thursday nights or something? It was
Yeah,
like
they still do it here. So that's
how is that?
It packs, but it's also competition for the restaurants. So
Got it.
it's not popular with a lot of the restaurants unless you're right there on Palm Canyon to be able to take advantage of it. But,
Sure.
yeah, so it's kind of a mixed bag. But I definitely think that that's the way it's going, because now you realize you don't need a brick and mortar anymore. And that's where these places, there's a place out here, Taco and Todo. It's a taco place, and they're all over the place. And then there's like just a couple different burger ones. And
How are they doing?
they're doing well.
Doing
yeah,
good.
they're all over. So it's good to see that there's a demand for it. There's always events and stuff going on. It really just depends on your location.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, though. I think it's gonna go that way no matter what. And it's also, I was thinking about that because it's usually the cooks, the back of the house is a little unpolished. They're not exposed to dealing with people directly, and
Sure.
so there's always that buffer of like the servers who get have to deal with the cooks between this the staff and whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. That's going to be the tough part of the challenge of that. I think is pulling these diamonds out. That aren't diamonds yet and polishing them. Some of them may be a little rough around the edges. They may not have all, like I said, the fundamentals down, especially for social media and stuff like that. So that's where it'll kind of wash out. But that's just business. That's how it works.
And how much do we promote it to where it's like, I think we were chatting about this, is when it really starts taking off, that I'm going to order with you tomorrow to have somebody come in our home. I'm going to order tomorrow for it to be delivered. When I saw that, if I could say if anything sucked, is you just have to be used of doing that. And people aren't used, the old-fashioned way of let's get something to eat. You want to get something to eat? Let's go across the street. Let's go grab a burger. Or let's go to McDonald's. Is it better than what this home chef's cooking? Maybe not. But how used to it are we of doing that?
Yeah.
And I remember we did the launch for this company, the home chef launch, and I was a part of that. And what was crazy was maybe 100 people VIP were invited from the city, whether it's city council, a lot of people that said they would promote and get this business up and order, and well, you could track how many of them ordered after the event, because there was like a scan, and as soon as you scanned your pass to get in, you had to register. So you registered your email, and that means you will open an account with us, and it shows that you're going to either start ordering. I guess after the big launch party, the engineer can track how many organically just signed up, and it was 0. Because they came, they ate, they watched the video, the presentation of the food, but are they used to it? Are they used to saying, I'm going to order this Friday night for my family of 4 or 5, whatever, friends get together, but I have to go online, I have to pre-plug in all of it, and it's like, I would say if there was a takeaway from it, for me as a consumer, I just want to eat. You guys figure that out. And then I noticed the other part of picking it up at your house. We started doing testing for deliveries. Delivery drivers would come with our commissary kitchen and deliver within, I would say, a 20-minute radius. And that generated more business. But again, for me to know customers direct, for being, a chef facing people all day, I could just get on the phone, because I was trying to imitate business and flow. Hey, I'm doing sushi today from 4 to 7, feel like a platter. All of a sudden, sales started kicking up. And I guess that word convenience, people are used to convenience.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, imagine if I texted 50 people, I'm doing food this weekend from Friday through Sunday, come pick up. Maybe I have 10, but the minute I tell 50 people, like, I'm delivering it this weekend, all of a sudden the number goes to 40.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants
the
convenient, stay at home, bring it. And then when they look at the food, they're like, okay, this is a little bit more elevated than a white foam box of just like no care. Just this looked like it was made by you personally. And then that connection starts.
Yeah.
Which is important. I don't think a lot of the chefs, had that. And then this platform really provided, I would say, the most tools I've seen that can help you, whether it's through marketing, whether it's through, I need a bigger space to work out of, I need to meet new customers, can I sell to businesses? And it really did help. But, how much further can that be? You know, in a year from now, do we see that like Airbnb where we rent a home for a weekend? Do we rent a chef for a weekend? Is it really going to catch on? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky.
Competition, right? And how many websites are doing it now?
Yeah.
In companies and platforms that are trying to make the home chef work. Now it's a lot more, you know, but at the end of the day, it's like if I see it on TV or on a big billboard, I'm going to do it. You know, every time I watch TV or football or something, you see the same 4 or 5 commercials, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine if you saw the commercial of ordering from home? You're like, wait a minute.
Order for the game right now.
Wings for tomorrow at your house. Yeah. But you don't see these companies go that big, right? I see the same T-Mobile commercial if I'm couch footballing, and on the weekend I see the T-Mobile. I see the same 4 commercials. But imagine if it was, I see like Wingstop or something, but imagine if it's like home chef. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, if they're doing it.
Yeah, maybe I will try it.
Yeah, maybe I will try it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I was thinking too, it would probably vary based on your location, you know, because the convenience, especially with delivery of like ordering food, if you have to go out and battle, you know, all these people in downtown LA or some huge city, you're definitely going to order in, you know, and then it depends where there's money. You know, if you don't have money to be paying someone to come in and cook for you, that's going to be another thing that's
that too
going to weed out some people. But so I think it's important for them to focus on what their location is, you know, and what kind of demographic are they going after.
Definitely.
But you see tons of posts on Instagram or on any social media platform that pop up, and it's, you know, there's all these businesses. So it's like, it's kind of like you said, the Super Bowl, those are the big money commercials. But then you've got your little, like, constantly in your face little suggestions like, hey, book now. You know, book now. And you're like, maybe I want book now. Now I want to book now.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, what is that? Osmosis, you know, like just, it's just all over. It eventually gets in. So I think there's no way around that. But it's definitely a good idea.
I even thought when, you know, out of all the cities where you can launch this home chef thing, why come in Riverside's awesome, but why, I did ask, so why did we start in Riverside again?
Yeah.
And he was like, because they made the home chef, I think it's like MICO, Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operator.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I don't remember a lot of things. That was great. But you can legally, me, whoever in Riverside, get a food inspector to come in your health inspector and pass you, and they're a lot more lenient in your home than a restaurant.
Yeah.
I worked with you in the restaurant, and trust me, they're looking at everything. Look at that glass. But here, they're like, we get it, it's your home. You know, maybe not have your dog in the air, you know, basic stuff. Once they come in, that's what the owner told me, they did all their research in Riverside. So just because Riverside County made it legal to do the home kitchen operator business, let's run it in Riverside then. Let's try to get a group of chefs, like a roster, a group of 20, 30, 40, 50 people that do different foods and good stories and good food, and let's launch from there, take the homework and research we did, and then kind of go back home and, you know, they're from Canada, and finish it out there and do it that way. And then all of a sudden, you know, you would say cross your fingers, and then all the other regions want to adapt to it.
Mm-hmm.
New York might pick up the phone and say, we want to do it. San Diego wants to do it. Chicago wants to do it. Utah wants to do it. But it's got to work, right? You got to see people organically ordering from it before we start seeing taking off. But it did work for certain companies, right? Like how we rent, how we get into a car now online. But, you know, what sucks is I think you see a certain age group do that though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's
when you go into like a Chipotle or something, how many people do you see just go grab?
Yeah, it's crazy.
How many do a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never say like age has anything to do with it, but it sure does seem like 30 and under, that's just with ease for them. But how come when we're in Chipotle sometimes and you see the line of who's in line, it's the ones that I don't know how, it's the grandpa with the 3 kids. I just picked them up for my kids to watch their kids. I don't know. We're standing in this long line. So imagine that with the whole food company ordering it online. You want it to adapt to everybody, but the minute you start, you know, telling it to all consumers, if I was to tell even my dad about it, no chance. because he doesn't do all that. And it sucks because he would probably enjoy the food and all that. You got to go on the app. The what?
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't do that with you. I didn't, so I'm not going to do it now. So how do we break people to say, just try it? You know, you like during the pandemic, we've all changed some of the things that we were doing.
Yeah.
You went to a yoga class, you had to drive to the studio.
I know. I was
now
thinking
you
about that.
go into your garage and I guess you turn on your personal heater and you try to find some kick-ass music and you're like, I'll do it this way.
Yeah.
But we weren't doing that before 2020, so can we eat that way? I don't know, but it was pretty cool because I got to really see all the ins and outs about it. Like if I was to say, I'm going to do this full-time, part-time, is it enough? Is it enough for people? Then you saw the struggles, and you know everybody wants to talk about the goods, but let's talk about the bads. You know, let's talk, and definitely saw a lot of that. You know, but you did see some cool stuff where a home chef would have some awesome pastries. Who can I sell them to though? Then all of a sudden you start seeing the confidence of having my home chef. I can go to a coffee shop now and saying, killer coffee. You don't have any food.
Yeah.
You want to start buying pastries from me. And then all of a sudden, I'm at home instead of cooking 10 a week for friends or family that want to order just to do me a favor. Now I'm selling 100 of these things for a coffee shop. And then once that gets rooted in that way, little business card, we grab a coffee today and say, where'd you get these pastries? It's a home chef that works. And you're like, wait a minute. I saw how that kind of works, and I thought that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's happening. Even at the Westin, we have, I forget the name of it. I don't want to murder it, but they're homemade, like from a home kitchen tortilla chips, you know. And then we have like different salsas and stuff that come in. It's like, where'd that come from? But it's really good. And they're like craft tortilla chips, you know, with gluten free. They got all different kinds,
all that stuff,
different kinds of varieties. But yeah, you're starting to see it because people are doing it, and it's good because it gives us more access. Everything is so like from the main companies, it's the same product over and over. So it's nice to have a kind of like a breath of fresh air of new creativity and new, you know, everybody's doing fusion this, fusion that. So it's worlds are colliding. You know, like I love it.
And even how we're eating now, right? Fast forward 10 years ago, let's just eat it. And now all of a sudden, all the health and benefits and things that we're allergic to, food intolerances, all of this stuff, gluten free. And I'm seeing that, you know, the home chefs are kind of adapting to that quicker. What kind of oil are you using today? Like we grab a burger today, we're frying it in, you know, canola oil. Yeah. Now I read inflammation, you know, all of this stuff. Do you use an olive oil? Do you use an avocado? And I noticed the home chefs are kind of gearing up towards that too. We're kind of gearing up for diet restrictions and all of that stuff. So
that's good. I mean, as it develops, you know, people have different tastes. I always laugh at the restaurants bringing up allergies. People be like, not that they're not allergic to onion, but I always get, I'm allergic to onion. It's like, you ain't allergic to onion.
We're not going to put it on there. I remember talking with you when you were always on the floor like, hey, this customer said, they're not. You know what? It's good to have somebody that can read between the bullshit, but at least I came up to you and approached you, and they're watching us to see, like, is he asking the manager? And that was pretty cool. That was funny. That always
it's
makes
funny.
me laugh.
People are funny. But, you know, we got to give them what they want.
How are, like, the food trucks in this area? See, that was another thing. But remember, do you think the food truck thing's dying down? I think I heard you chat about that before.
I don't know if they're cracking down on it or something, because I have seen some have gone away. You know, there was one that was right here off of Ramon and Sunrise, and they were right in front of the CVS right there.
Are they being asked, like, go?
I was wondering, I'm like, do they?
I'll call.
Yeah, and I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they're still there, but some of them have gone away, so I don't know if they're not making money. Again, it's like any business, kind of like the weed business right now. Like it's oversaturation. Some people are going to fall off. Same thing with this. Now there's 1,000, you know, street side cooks. Yeah. They're going to fall off. They're not going to have good locations or whatever it's going to be. But I see him. I still see him. There's one in Thousand Palms on the way home from work. He's out there wrapping up 11, 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. And these giant trucks, you know, like where'd they find all these things?
Right.
But they're everywhere. And you see still the people with the pop-up tents and stuff, you know, and they do well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's no cost, really.
Remember about 10 years ago, though, maybe 15 years ago, that movie, I think it was called Chef.
Yes, I love that movie.
Vince Vaughn's guy, John Favreau, whatever, was he was a chef, and then he got fired or something for a funny reason. Then he started doing that food truck thing, and it really, I remember a lot of my friends, chefs, I'm doing a food truck, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like the last few years, like I'm not. They're doing well, but it seems like a lot less are saying I'm going for this now.
Yeah.
And I don't. Even if you were to Google, did our food trucks dying? It's pretty cool. Like that they're not. But you do see some people like it's kind of like a restaurant.
Yeah.
You're taking a chance. Location, where am I going to be today?
Mm-hmm.
Marketing, all that stuff, and
The fundamentals.
being with this home chef platform. I saw the same struggles. Like you just said, location. If me and you did awesome food concept, but we're not offering delivery, how do people even feel of coming to your house and picking it up now?
Yeah, it's
how is that though? When you see the news and you're like kidnapper.
It was weird for me, but that taco and todo, like I loved it. I was like,
Right.
ooh, and I went and I picked it up, and some guy pops out of a garage door. Not to knock it,
Right.
but it's just that interaction is different.
Sure,
It's not going to a restaurant or a storefront or something.
Right.
And you're like, wait a minute, where am I?
Right.
What am I looking for?
And
So
we're okay with it, I'm sure. But what about the other 98 out of 100 people? Does the neighbor's dog look like a pit bull that's going to jump the fence?
or people that just struggle.
Yeah, are we used to that? Where do I park or something?
Yeah.
Or the streets real dark when I come by, so it's just like,
It's
are we
extra.
used to doing that, man?
Yeah.
Location helps that too,
Mm-hmm.
and then building your, I've seen, I don't know, I think it was like a little article where this lady, I don't know where she lived, but she turned her whole outdoor patio during the pandemic into a restaurant. Now that would feel like you feel pretty comfortable. Tables, chairs, outdoor, Spanish style music or something like that, entertainment. But I'm like, okay, that I could see that catches on, because at the end of the day, what I saw through all this, people seem like they still want fellowship when they go out to eat.
Yeah.
I want to chat. You would always be busy at the bar. People would always chat with you. That's like half the reason I'm coming. The other half, I guess, I'm coming out to eat too, right?
Yeah. There's a benefit.
So you miss that, I think, when you order this to-go stuff. That's why I always say the restaurant, at the end of the day, once the pandemic reopened the restaurants up, how many people just started fleeing to restaurants? It didn't matter if the patios were just open.
Yeah.
We're coming.
Just to get out.
Yeah, I never sat here before, but we're just coming out to talk or see the bartender or to see that business still keep going. But that's something I think you feel like you're missing when you're cooking from home sometimes, is fellowship, or am I connecting? But once you do, I mean, you win somebody over, they're gonna be eating with you or wanting your service years and years.
Yeah, I know as eating, I'm a sushi eater, right? Like I always had my favorite sushi chefs that I would go and see.
Right.
And you see them, you know them for years, and then
Yeah.
they change, and you're like, oh, I'm going over
I'm
there
gonna
now.
go- right. And
So
it-
you
it's
build that relationship.
Definitely. Same with you bartending or something. I know you've been into the industry for a long time. I don't care what hole in the wall, but I'm coming. But
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to see that. And I think that if you could bridge the gap for the home chefs to have that type of connection, but that takes a while, for somebody to get to genuinely know you. For me being a sushi chef, I'm like, I served a kid this, and then all of a sudden you see him graduate college, and then he's coming because his parents took him. That you can't get that normally from, I won this customer over.
Yeah.
But I hope it keeps working. I know they're going to try to build out and do it on a bigger scale, and maybe come back to the States and seeing where they can go with it. But I've seen a lot through it, and I see a lot of the home people doing it now, and it's like I want it to work, and I wish them nothing but the best. But yeah, being able to see all of the issues and problems, man. It was a trip. It was like I was undercover just to see what would happen if we were to do a business or something 10 years down the road. But now for me, it's like I could do this part-time, and I can go to a restaurant part-time, and you can make, almost double income. You either go all the way in or I notice you don't. You got to have all the tools to do all of this. And I don't mean tools like I cook good. You got to have a lot of help and assistance, and this company really, I guess, assisted you with all of that. Engineering, software, tools, technology, tracking how much you're selling, and routing you to another business. So
Gotta have a system. And the measurement, I keep repeating, that which can be measured can be improved, So if you don't know what you're doing, there's no way you can improve on it,
That's what a lot of people do every day, and it's like, how can I improve? It's like, well,
where do I start?
Yeah, where do I start? That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's true. It's good that they're moving, they're thinking. Tell me about what you're doing now. I know you have you're doing your feature sushi
Yeah.
Mondays thing.
Yeah, I'm doing like a pop-up now in Redlands. It's at Oscar's. It's a restaurant and really cool. You know, she's owned it for many years, but I'm kind of rooting into people that already have, you know, something going on. It's like I'll add to it one day a week. So I'll do a sushi dinner pop-up theme, and she'll do the alcohol and, you know, and pack it, and then from there, you know, you do one or two, and then, you know, somebody else that owns a business is like, I want to do it at mine. So, and that was everything that I was doing from home from the pandemic as well. And then sometimes on weekends, I'm like, you know what, I have some really good product. I got a great fish delivery. I'll reach out to 20, 30 close friends or customers that I've for years, and I'm doing some really cool elevated sushi, whether it's delivery, and it's pretty cool to see that people, again, if they know I'm making it and they know I'll deliver it, they're like, how is that even possible? Sure, I'm in. But yeah, it's been cool. But I've been doing a lot of that, and then, you know, a lot of these pop-ups are leading to other things, caterings on the side, you know. Here's my number, I want to do a party of 20 or 30, 40 or 50 to the point where, you know, it could be a full-time job. It's been fun. I got to get you out to one of the pop-ups, man.
I know.
Cool.
I want to come check it out.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then I have some friends out here. My friend Cameron that's the Spirit company. It's like a mobile bartending that he started, and he's doing a lot of places. So
cool.
I was thinking like that'd be cool to maybe network with you two, put you guys together. Maybe he has some need because he always does weddings and stuff.
Yeah.
So if they want sushi, everybody loves sushi. Yeah, that might work. He does a lot of work.
How long's he been doing that? That's cool.
For about a year and a half, I think. But he was I worked with him at Stout. He was a bartender there, and then a couple different places he went. He's been at the Ace Hotel for a long time.
Okay.
Really good bartender.
Darn.
And he started his own business, and he's got that cranking along. Him and his wife Erica, and they've been just kind of booked up, cranking along. Yeah, it's good.
That is good to collaborate, though, man. So he can go to a venue and have the line as the bartender and do it that way?
Yeah, well,
or they set up.
No, they set up their own. So he works at Ace. That's his job.
Okay.
And then he's been a bartender in the desert for a while, and at some other places too. But he has his own business now, and he does weddings and
Darn.
You know, he partners up with these people as like a mobile bartending service.
Yeah.
So a lot of this feeds off like the vacation rentals, you know, or the banquet and event spaces that are out here. So they'll rent a space and they'll bring in their own bartender, or they rent a house in Joshua Tree or Palm Desert or something, and they throw a big house party and they'll bring them in. You know, so that's something. My other friend Benji does that too. He's got Benji Bar, and it's him and a couple other people.
That's cool.
And they've got employees. They're doing well.
Damn.
So it's good out here, especially. And I know Redlands is a big food place. He loves Redlands.
Yeah.
Like he has a family out there and stuff too. But he's really familiar. He actually took me out there to some of the restaurants and stuff, and there's some amazing food out there.
Good stuff.
So you know, it's definitely coming around.
Yeah.
And I think as people kind of separate themselves from restaurants, and you know, they want that personalized individual experience, that's something that they'll start to get into. I noticed just like we were talking about people planning and meals and stuff, it's something that a lot of people are used to. Maybe not me, you know.
Right.
And I've had that experience where I'm like, I come in and I'm like, well, I was working with a vacation rental one time, and the owner of the home was like, yeah, lunch is on the way. And I was like, oh, that's a pleasant surprise, you know. And all of a sudden Panera pops up, and they drop off, you know, like some kind of family meal. And it was like, you know, $50 for 3 sandwiches and 3 soups and whatever. And it's just a mix of food, and cut the food up. And so I think that as a lot of restaurants are offering that, I think it's something that will catch on.
You do see that more, though, huh? Catering now, bringing a box. Remember, you would go into, you know, a restaurant that had 3 or 4 different ways to order. Now you start seeing that catering to you, and you're like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jersey Mike's, let's grab a sandwich. We do 2 12-foot sandwiches to you. What does that take to do? You know, but once we start going that route, and that is funny, during the pandemic, didn't we see everybody was almost gearing up their home? Because you always have to say, like, to have a good time, I have to have a cool place to be able to mingle with guests to come over to my house for an in-home dining experience. I have to have a cool backyard or setup, or and then during the pandemic, you started seeing everybody do their houses up in yards. Like,
Yeah, they're
I'm not going
redecorating,
anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, you're going to come here for a good time.
I'm
so-
stuck here. I got to look at it. It's got to look
no,
nice
I'm back
now.
at work and nobody's using it.
Yeah.
But I did notice that during the pandemic, as you would see some, we're doing the pool and we're doing the setup. And when I deliver some of the sushi during the pandemic, I'm like, I drop it off. Like, you just call me over here to have a full dinner get together over here. It looks like this is what you want to do now. Oh yeah, we put fans out here. You could, yeah, we'll call you next time. And it's like people now started getting used to saying, busy restaurant Friday night, 7 o'clock. Yeah, I'll just do it at home.
Yeah.
So I think that helps too, man. But that bartending thing is a great idea. Like collaborating, saying, you know, I'm going to this event with, you know, 50 people. Let's offer them this, that, a crispy rice bar with my bar. And it's like, wait a minute, that's cool. And that's when I started noticing the home chefs once they started collaborating. Like, what do you do? I do this, I do that. Wait a minute, why don't we do almost like a 2-venue, offer 2 styles? And it's like, it made people catch on with variety, you know? But
that was my thing at Stout. When I was at Stout, I convinced them to buy it, but then we never got around to using it. But the mobile like fryers and grill station to do burgers, and I'm like, this is a no-brainer, because I was thinking capitalize on all the dispensaries, you know, like just camp out front and sling burgers,
and Girl Scout cookies,
right? But you know, it never came to pass. But I was thinking that before and during the time that all these, you know, food trucks and street side vendors were coming around, so it could have taken off.
That's a good idea. But
it's just any of those mixtures, you know, and that's the good thing is you can bring in more than one, you know. So some places that don't have food, they do that. They'll have pop-up, you know. That's that Taco and Toto place. They go to different bars. And there's one here. What is the name of it? Can't remember the name of it, but it's in front of, can't even remember the name of that bar. Hair of the Dog. Sorry. Yeah,
okay.
Hair of the Dog.
Yeah.
There's a taco place in front of there.
Okay.
And that place, they kill it. You know, and it's like a restaurant, but they're just outside the front door.
Just right in the front.
You know.
Do they check with the owner? Like, is it cool if I say? Oh, okay.
And it's, you know, they have an agreement or whatever, but they've been there every day or not, you know, at least 4 or 5 times a week they're there. They have a couple of days where they're not there when it's slower, but they're just there every night. And they have, you know, their staff has grown. It used to be the owner. And the husband and wife out there working it. Now they've got staff, you know, and
that's good to
usually
hear.
one of them are there. So again, there's
that's
growth.
how restaurants start too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you say like, when did you get this set up? Oh, we were in the street for a week. We did the downtown. You know, a lot of feedback. Everybody, why don't you get your own restaurant? And then, you know, I think you know this. Once you get in a restaurant, that's a whole different story. But it's cool to see it organically start from. We're gonna sell 2 items and then cross our fingers, and people love the 2 items, and all of a sudden, you know, you might have a friend, a partner, investor say, I want to help you get your own brick and mortar and do this thing. That's cool.
It's funny. I learned working with Marriott, like that's how they started, was like a burger root beer shop.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, a mom and pop little diner. Damn. And they had rooms in the back, and it blew up, and you know, it's crazy to think.
Wow.
So that's where that started. And so there's root beer floats are like a big thing, you know, like internally, because that's where it started. The Marriott family, they had a restaurant, and then it just kind of blew up from there, and they started taking over hotels and providing that level of service. But again, it's the fundamentals. Like once you have your fundamentals down, whatever it is, whatever the business, once you figure it out, you just duplicate that recipe, and you know, it'll work.
Could be simple too, right? Could be like you just said, root beer, and floats, and a good cheeseburger. Look at In-N-Out or something, right? That's the coolest concept, where cheeseburger, double cheeseburger, fry, duplicate that. Then,
consistency. That's the thing they say, right? What do they sell at McDonald's? It's consistency.
Consistency.
And I remember a friend of mine asked me, like, because I was doing some crazy thing that I'm always doing, and they're like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I could be selling hot dogs or whatever. Like, I don't care, because what I look for, what I want to see is the end result. And that's what I like. So it's really not about what I'm doing, or, I mean, it does. Of course, it has to be something I enjoy. But for me, it's if it's a work of passion, it's not about the money. It's more about what I'm trying to do. And he said, well, it sounds like you're more about the money because you just want it to be successful. And I was like, well, not really. I guess it could be looked at that way. But for me, something simple, a quality product that, you know, I always said I'd rather have 100 restaurants than one giant one, you know. So I was thinking something small that can be easily duplicated in multiple spaces, and then, you know, you just keep it going. That's one of the challenges I've seen in a lot of restaurants I've worked, is they have too big of a menu or too big of something to try to keep all that going. And it's, you know, even where I'm at now, we struggle doing the basics sometimes, and it's
Mhm.
like we should focus on our priorities, not going above and beyond, because then
Right.
you lose your foundation.
I like that, man.
It's tricky, but
I like how you said that. Your passion, sometimes it's not about the money, but your friend said it feels like it. But now that you get to say that, maybe years later down the road, it to you it means something, and just hearing that from you.
Yeah.
Even that restaurant example that you just gave, 100 restaurants you'd rather have than one. Everybody would say, I'd rather just have one. What are you thinking? What are you, crazy? Are you in it for the money? And it's like, wait a minute. You just said 10 seconds ago you're in it for the consistency. And if you can build with consistency a great product, period, I'll do the 100. Because I would have thought, let's do one. But I'm like, damn, you're always up to something, man.
Yeah.
But I like that, man. I do like that, man. But, most people, like you said, they're trying to get into one restaurant, which we've seen. We had a big menu where we were working. Is it too big? Is it too simple?
Or your eyes get big. You're like, I need more space.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't really need, because then it's cavernous. And
then you need more money.
Yeah, and it's like this big hurdle. And if it's just a bunch of little hurdles, you don't climb the mountain in one step. You take the stairs. And it's just those kind of things that I've seen people do. And it's, if you lose one, you lose it all. If it's just one restaurant, and that's what I've watched happen. It's like, maybe it's better to kind of play it safe a little bit sometimes, but whatever, to each their own.
Simple. I like that. That's what a lot of people, it seems like they got kind of far away from is simple. And some of the chefs are trying to do too much or duplicating what other chefs are already doing, and then just putting a twist on it, or But is it genuine? Is it simple? Is it something that comes from you? And then, like you said, at the end of the day, like, I guess, you get asked this a lot now, what are you doing now? Are you doing it for the money? And it's like, you know what? I know it sounds stupid, but I think I'm okay on that part right now. I mean, that's always going to bring, comfort and some type of support. I feel good with what I'm doing, but now it's almost like a gut check for myself. Do I want to do it? Do I got passion for it? Am I going to be consistent at it? Is something I'm still fiery about,
Yeah.
Because now that I'm not into the restaurants and I've been doing this, I'm like, I could do this and have fun with it. It takes a lot, though, to do these pop-ups and dinners and events, because, the only way that you can do it is, like you said, you have to be consistent. I can't sit at home and be like, I'm not going to spread the word this week, and I just hope and cross my fingers when I show up there's going to be 50 people at this dinner. You have to go out and see what you can do to get these 50 people to come in, right?
Yeah.
And it's always something you have to keep doing. So I wish it comes a lot easier, but I notice these home chefs, like, they want to get in or a restaurant. I want it to just come to me.
Yeah.
Just
That's
like
true.
you said, you gotta go after it. You gotta work. And even working with you years ago, you always would you would always leave inspirational posts and shit. Like, you gotta go after stuff, man. It's like people forgot about that part. Like, oh, I got a nice setup kitchen. They're going to come because I can cook. And then they're like,
no one comes.
what's happening? What else are you doing about it?
Yeah.
Are you getting up? Are you even ready to take this on? And even the routines I'll go through every day, whether it's working out, all this crap that I do and these supplements, it gets me going to the point where I can work, and I'm like, you know what? I just do this work stuff because I feel good enough and still inspired enough and compassionate about what I'm doing to give. And I think doing the food industry shit for 24 years now, I think I've done 10 different concepts, restaurants, to help them open, launch, and train and be the head chef at. It's like, I always like doing it to serve people, man. At the end of the day, it's like, how much did you make? And it's like, I'm okay. It was fun. It was an experience. And I think learning as we've gotten older, everybody's big on age. Does it matter? And I think we talked about this. Age, to me, is a number, but I tell you what, it sure did give you a hell of an experience to take all of this in of what works and what doesn't. So when this whole, how do you build your business from home, I'm like, okay, just from the experience alone, I just heard you say simplicity.
Yeah.
If you would have told me to build a menu 20 years ago, I'm going to try to go and wait a minute. How do you know this? Because you've seen it. So, I think I learned so much, I guess, from the experience side. And then at the end of the day, you're still in this thing because you really enjoy serving people, man, taking care of people. That's crazy. And then once you start talking to the taking care of people, we can go on about other ways of taking care of people, whether it's helping them with being sober, whatever. But I guess being a chef, I connected so much, you know.
Yeah.
But,
That's my.
yeah.
What I always say, connect. You have to connect. You have to inspire, and then you have to lead. And it's like one of those things. Connecting with people is important. And so for me, when I work in restaurants, like I want to connect on a personal level and find out like what makes you tick. How do I help you get to where you want to be? Not that I have anything to offer, but maybe,
Right.
just
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And that to me is more the motivator, an attitude of service and like the results that come out of it. And I heard a saying that I latched onto, another one. I'm full of these sayings. It's like you work a job for what it makes you, not for what it pays you. So it's like, that's, once I heard that, I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then so the money, of course, money is important as a tool, but it's not the whole thing. You know, and then even if you had, they always say it's kind of cliche, but if you had all the money and no health or happiness, what's it for?
That's good.
So it's like finding that balance. And so I was telling my friend Seth the other day, he's young and getting it and excited, and I was, not old but older, and I was telling him, I was like, at some point you're just like, I'm cool, like I don't really need to go conquer anymore. Not that I've done that, but there's some areas where I'm like, I'm cool, like drinking or going out and partying or any of those things. And I still will have fun and go out and do things, but it's not the motivation anymore. Right. And I spend a lot of time doing that, and things change as you get older. And you realize like, oh, simplicity is nice. It's nice to not have stress. And so it was funny, this year I made a more list, right? Like not a...
Your lists have always been good, though. I'm going to take a few of them, man. Go ahead.
So I made a more list, and then I was like, well, let me keep going, because I ran out of mores, and I was like, let me make a less list. And so it was like less clutter, less confusion, less stress, less work, less, just to be aware of it. And one of the things that was eye-opening, I went to, at my work, we did Secret Santa, and they gave me this little sheet. It was cute. Santa hats, and it was like, what do you like? And I was like, oh my God, what do I like? I don't really know. And I mean, I do, but I don't really think about it. Most of us don't take time to reflect and think about these things. And so it was kind of an eye opener for me to have that moment of like, what I know my favorite color and I know simple things, but like, what do I want? What do I need? And so it's always good to take those moments of reflection, and kind of figure out where you're at. And then at work, we do the Next Gen Marriott Business Council for like future leaders of Marriott or whatever. And we did vision boards, and I was like, wow, and you think like, it's funny. And the guy was nervous, Nathan, the guy who put it together, and he's like, I was worried that people were going to laugh and think that this is stupid, but it was actually kind of funny because I was already thinking, like, again, manifest, right? Mm-hmm. Thinking like, I want to do a vision board, and then bam, the universe was like, here you go. Here's all the equipment. Here's the boards. Here's the scissors and all. I didn't have to buy anything, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I did that, and we ended up folding it in half. And so I was like, so I got my start, and then I'll just do the rest as I go. And then we were supposed to present it, and I was like, well, this, like my year, has just started, so it's not quite done yet.
Okay. I wanted to hear more of that, more or less, man. I like that. I like hearing that clutter, stress, and all of that stuff like that, man. That's pretty cool.
But it's just good to reflect, and see where you're at. And that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on this year. Okay. But we'll see how it goes.
I heard you say that about more money, and then when you have it, are you happy and all that. You hear that every day, though, but... That's good. I like that list, that more or less. Like you said, when you have the money, then I'm not happy. Yeah. Sometimes I think we've seen each other, whether the jobs that you've taken, you make more or you make less, and isn't that crazy when you circle back? Sometimes it was you were the happiest when you had the least clutter, the least stress, or sometimes the least money out of it. Instead of I'm going to this job, I make $3 less an hour. Everybody, why?
Yeah.
Fast forward 2 years later, I made the money in a different way. It could have been off tips or something. But
peace of mind or something,
But we always hear that. And then we hear that some people, that are definitely financially, they're good, they'll say, money didn't bring me happiness. But you know what we can say to that? I have learned, what money can bring you is comfort.
Yeah.
And peace of mind. So when we roll out of bed, you're like,
yeah, you're not like, I gotta go.
Yeah, what's due today?
Yeah,
right. I'll hear that. I don't want to say names or anything, but he's awesome guy, chiropractor or something, and he said money doesn't bring happiness, and it's true. He lives by it, walks it, talks it. But then I see it, I'm like, it doesn't, because you have it, but it definitely gives you comfort and peace of mind. And you know what comfort can give you? Happiness, where you roll out of bed and you're like, I'm not worried about how to make this ends up meet. And then that translates into everything, how you carry yourself that day.
Yeah.
On edge. You seem a little edgy. Yeah, because I'm...
Yeah,
And then all
something's
this...
stressing.
Yeah.
Something's lurking.
Are you taking anything now? If we end it by like anything to help stress, because I know you've always been reading, researching like supplements. Are you taking anything like? Are you ashwagandhas? You know how?
No.
You remember 10 years ago you could see like what would you take? I take a multivitamin.
Yeah.
Now it's like I take
This and
electrolytes, mushroom blend. I take ashwagandha, rhodelia.
Yeah.
I take a superfoods greens blend to help. Have you
I
dive in any of that?
No.
No?
I want to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into it. I actually just got this app, fitness tracker,
Okay.
and I'm like tracking my food, and I'm trying to,
That's why I was asking. I
make
figured you
sure-
would be like on top of like what you're taking. I was going to pick your brain.
I am
Yeah.
now. But I want to do, what is it, AG1? I hear on Joe Rogan, is it AG1? He's talking about AG1.
What is
it's like
that?
it's a supplement, and it's like algae, but you only take one.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a full day's nutrients and stuff in that one.
Hmm.
But it's kind of pricey, but I don't know. I haven't dabbled with it yet, but
Okay. I seen him do some. I think it was like a mushroom thing that he was talking on. I was in Vitamin Shop and I saw people. Is this the one that wrote like the first? thing
yeah,
you pay
the
attention?
cognitive function and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy. There's things out there.
Yeah.
Right now, for me, for fitness, this year I've just been working so much. I haven't really had time to think about it. I was going to ask you, like, what are you doing these days?
Oh,
I
man.
know
Like
doing yoga and stuff, and I need
You
to
know,
get back on that.
boxing daily. Working out daily. Even like breathing.
Yeah.
Like just old school. Close your eyes and breathe and just staying active that way. And physical therapy. A lot of stuff like. Being a chef, I guess we've done this for 20 years. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you go to a chiropractor and you look at an x-ray and it's like, look,
Yeah,
look at that.
yeah,
So how do I prevent that stuff? But it's like, 20, 30 years ago, let's just go in there and lift weights and that's it. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, it's a lifestyle now. I'm not in here to like look in the mirror, even though it's cool if you wanted to. But it's like I'm in here because longevity. I'm in here. I remember seeing an old guy working out in the gym and he said, it was cool because he's like probably mid-60s and he looks like he's 30, but he said the more we're in here, the less we're in the doctors. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It's
then,
true. Yeah.
Then I check my doctor report. I'm like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
30-something years of just me daily just going to work out. Not even, of course, when you walk in there, you have a goal and a plan. I got to do this today with boxing, with high intensity. Tomorrow, I'm going to do some boxing, a little bit of weights, stretching, breathing, and all of that stuff. And then fast forward, I don't look at it 30 years later that I go in there. Otherwise, I'd probably be the first guy to quit because the minute you start saying to yourself, I'm going to go work out today.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels just boring, but then it becomes a lifestyle where it's like, oh, I have to.
Yeah.
Because I have to go in there because it's going to make my work day that much easier.
Yeah. It's
And
part of your routine.
I guess as I got older, I'm like, now it's not about just lifting and eating. And it's like, what about some supplements that can help you with inflammation, joint, MSM? And then I just started, researching and reading and putting all these supplements together. And yeah, man, I've noticed like the cognitive stuff, the mushrooms and stuff. Pretty interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'll definitely forward you some info and have we'll be guinea pigs and we'll.
Yeah,
But,
I've
it's
been
cool stuff,
dabbling.
man.
I've been dabbling. I got some multivitamin. I got my Costco multivitamin. But
Costco doesn't need your money.
But
There's so much stuff like, a greens blend, like, where you're drinking a greens that has superfoods and superfruits and spirulina, all that.
yeah.
That's something me and you, we hustle and we work. We don't have time to eat and drink daily, but
Yeah.
I wasn't getting them in my body years ago, prebiotics, gut health. How
Yeah.
important is that
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Come on. I mean, when we eat late night, you're like, oh, I was waking up in the morning. I felt bloated.
Mm-hmm. Because I
What
just ate like 3 hours ago.
Yeah. And then I noticed the prebiotics. I'm like, wait a minute, stuff like that. But yeah, it seems like now it's a routine where you're taking some supplement, this and that, collagen blends,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. There's a lot, man. So
Yeah, it's crazy now with this tracker. Because I have plugged in all my food.
of it, right?
I'm like, wow, I'm not eating anything. It's because it's all the goal for protein, 147 grams, and I ate like 20, and then I'm like, wow, fiber, it's this many, and I'm like,
Right.
wow,
Damn.
and you don't really realize until you start tracking it.
You input it, right?
Yeah.
So you eat, and you have to be, of course, honest. Because
Yeah.
I would be like triple cheeseburger, double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I didn't have a triple. So once you input all of that, it gives you
a readout of what it is, and you can do it brand. You can scan the label. Like there's a lot of stuff like that's already in there. Like I put Costco. I forget what it was. Something I ate from Costco. And
Okay.
it was like a snack bar.
and
or
it
something.
breaks all of that down.
It has all the nutritional content. Tells you what's in it. They're macros, whatever those are.
Does it give you a goal too, like what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
like
program that in your weight, like your target weight, where you're at, what you're trying to do.
what you're trying to do.
And then they have all these other quizzes. It's called Fitness Tracker. It's actually really good.
Darn, man.
And then another one, going back to stress that you asked me about, was I got this Welltory app.
Okay.
It's like a heart tracker, and it was like 98% stress. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I'm going to die.
Out of 200?
You're right? And I'm like, what does that even mean?
You want to lie to yourself out of 200.
And I said that. I was like, I've been lying because my mom's always like, oh, how you doing? You know, and I'm like, I'm good. Life is normal. It's just how it is.
And then,
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, have I been lying to myself?
Holy
am I
shit.
stressed? You know, and so I
how
kind
long
of,
ago was that?
this was a couple months ago. Maybe
Have you looked at it
6 months
now?
ago. Yeah, so now I
Okay.
flipped it, right? I was talking to my friend yesterday about it, that I work with, and he's like, I think I'm just going to go back to being a server, like this.
Okay.
This is rough, management,
Yeah.
so, you know, it's constant, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it makes you happy, you know? But I was telling him, because he asked me, he's like, what did you do? And I was like, I don't know what I did, but I flipped it, and I just changed my attitude, you know, my approach. And it's like I know that there's things I can fix, and if they don't want me to fix it, or they, you know, do whatever, like it's kind of out of my hands. I'm there to help, but if they don't want it, I'm not going to stress myself out about it. And that just changing that perspective allows me to kind of go in detached and not like, oh God, you know, because it's a big place. Like we do a lot of work, and it's like a lot of money goes through there, you know, and it's just giant groups and stuff. So it's constantly evolving, and everybody's trying to like please and overdo for the guests, and you know, so it makes it a challenge. But I love that stuff, you know, and I have to remember that.
I remember you were a problem solver, man. But
Yeah.
you did it in a calm way where it's like, damn it, he's not listening. No, he's figured. And next day, you know what we did wrong? It's like, yeah, you've always been a problem solver. And there's a difference in thinking. I think that'll lead to stress, right? And then overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking's like questioning it and then talking to yourself about it. Like, should I show up 15 minutes earlier before? You're overthinking now, and then all of a sudden, check your stress there. And then that old saying is, control what we can only control. Like I can't control all the outside noise. If you know, all I can do is control what we can do in here, what they're doing across the street. Once I start thinking about that, it's like, holy shit. And then, you know, even stress, even when I was done with this Home Chef, you know, first thing I could have said is, well, you know what, we figure it out. But the more you start thinking and stressing out, it's like, you know what, it's not. And stress is crazy. Stress will get you in a different way, man.
You know, and like for me, asking again back about stress, like I got, you know, Stoicism, right? Like you've heard of Stoicism? It's about philosophy. It's a philosophy for like old Marcus Aurelius or like Homer, and like these are the original philosophers, and that's where Stoicism came from, back in Rome. And so they were really just kind of realists, you know, like this is, because it was crazy times. I can't even imagine back then, but they had developed this mentality of like, and there's one from Marcus Aurelius, I'm going to murder it, but he's basically like saying that he's going to have to deal with some people that are either stubborn or not so smart or having a bad day or whatever. And that's just kind of like the creed you tell yourself every day. I know I'm going to have to deal with these people. It's not me. It's going to pass. You know, it's not permanent. And that memento mori, have you heard that? That comes from Stoicism. And it's like, live like you're going to die today, like it's your last day, you know, and it kind of puts some different ways to think about things. You know, people just kind of wander through life, and that when I started getting into that, it helped me with a lot of things. And that, you know, even it is a roller coaster. I think like life is cyclical, right? Like hopefully you're spiraling up, but it's always that up and down motion, you know, and that I think is what we have to have these tools to work through those times, you know, whether it's Buddhism or Stoicism or any kind of ism, you know, you're gonna need those tools, you know. And that's kind of what's helped me get through all these kind of stressful times, I guess.
Awesome.
Just having those quick quotes and little things to kind of keep you going.
That's good.
And I'm happy to try to share them. Some people are probably like, "Shut up, this guy."
No, hell no,
you know?
man. People are always going to say that, but I definitely listen. You know, you used to send me some positive shit. I'm like, you know what, man, that makes sense. Leadership stuff. And It's good stuff, man. So
Yeah.
keep it up, man. Glad you're doing good, man.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. And is there anything you want to share? Anywhere they can find you, like websites?
You know what? Maybe we'll do this again, and I'll set up maybe a different, like a website style, because
Yeah.
the website I was on was with the company that you could order when I was helping them in Canada.
Yeah.
Now that I'm back here, I'm like so old school, like that used car dealership commercial, or here's my phone number. But I know people don't just say like, I'm gonna call this guy. But next time I do that, maybe we'll get a business card or something like that.
Yeah, we'll bring you back.
Yeah, appreciate
really
it.
cool. I
Thanks for
appreciate you
your
coming
time.
out. Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
you, man. Thanks,
Awesome.
Robert.
Cool.